So hello from Sagara and on SagaraOnline, and welcome today to Suryacitta, who I know very well. He's the first person who actually taught me, well, he's the only person. He's the first person who taught me to meditate a long time ago, and I'm very pleased to have him here with me today. And Suryacitta is very well known in the mindfulness world, so I hope I get this right. But you set up the MSc for mindfulness and compassion, is that right?
Set it up with Dr. Liz Sparks.
That's right, yeah, with Dr. Liz
Yeah.
Sparks, who I'm interviewing soon.
Okay.
And you you have your own mindfulness setup, kind of. What's that called?
Mindfulness CIC.
Is that's the website as well, yeah.
That's the website. It's a community interest company, similar to a charity.
And you're also an author, yeah.
I am.
And
Yes.
I've just found out you've got a book out today.
I did.
4 other
Yeah.
books and a book today, and today's book's called.
It's a happiness and contentment workbook.
Oh, fantastic!
It wouldn't be my title, but that's what the publisher wanted.
Okay, and where do you find that?
Find it on Amazon.
All right, brilliant.
Any major bookshop.
Okay, fantastic. So you've got, like, have I missed anything? So you're a mindfulness teacher, you set up the MSc, you're an author. Have I missed anything in terms of spiritual practice? And
No, not really. No, I think that's enough.
all right, fantastic. So welcome to each other. So, like, the idea of this, you're my first person, so we'll see how it goes. But so the idea of this is really just to talk about spirituality and awakening. And so my thoughts today were, like, I haven't really got any kind of set agenda, but the idea was to get a bit about you and how you started, and just the sort of progression for you. So I don't know if you could say something about where you came from, kind of thing, like how it all started for you, where the first interest in spirituality came from. And I'm particularly interested in, like, obviously you can say facts about like your childhood and stuff, but, like, what were you like? Do you know what I mean? What were you like before you started?
Yeah, I think looking back, I think I was quite a sensitive child. I remember going around a market one day. I must have been early teens, and I saw this old man on a market stall with no customers. Everybody else had customers. He had no customers. And I remember starting to cry. It was that sort of, oh,
Wow.
oh. So I think I was quite a sensitive, sometimes oversensitive child. But as I got into my early 20s, I started to question, there must be more to life than this. The people around me didn't seem very happy. And why aren't people happy? And I remember thinking it wasn't therapy I needed, it was something else. And I remember coming across a poster in a library and on transcendental meditation. Oh. And it's piqued my interest. And I went along to it with 2 other friends. They weren't interested, but I thought, he's onto something. And from then, I started meditating every day, twice a day for 2 years. Never missed a session. I'm a natural obsessive. And then I think just around then we met.
What, at the end of that 2-year period, or?
Yeah. I can't, it's a long time ago now, but yeah.
Yeah. All right. Brilliant. Because I had that same experience of, like, people were sort of saying, get married, get a job, have some kids, and you'll be really happy. But, like, no one was.
Yeah.
And so, like, I totally relate to that. And yeah. Okay. And so what did it do for you when you start? I mean, why the other 2 didn't take to it? What was it that kind of grabbed you? Did it change you, or?
It was just the way I look at it now. There was a resonance. I didn't quite know what. It wasn't reasoned out, but there was a resonance with what he was saying. And I think we'd call it like a spiritual dimension or something, or our true nature, or something of that ilk that resonated with what he was saying. And I had this sense there was something beyond this ordinary experience of life, this angst experience of life. There's something beyond this. And he spoke to that.
Right.
That's what he's speaking to. Whether
Right.
we knew it or not, I don't know.
Yeah. So it's like quite a deep heart connection, or quite a deep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, like a deep resonance. I thought, this is it.
I remember that. I remember when I sort of remember the early days of meeting you, and I remember like consuming so many books, almost like a, a book addict. Do you know what I mean? It was like there's a sort of a spiritual seeking, and I was kind of curious if that was the same for you, in the sense that I've wondered if it was almost like an addiction, like, like in because obviously I used to do drink and drugs and things like that, but like was it like it was almost like there was for me there was some kind of pain that needed to be satisfied, and it was the drink and the drugs, and then spirituality came into that kind of gap and filled it up. Was that kind of your experience?
Yeah, very similar. I bought hundreds of books. I remember giving them away to people. Hey, read this, read that, read that. I was just sort of trying to convert the world.
Likewise.
Yeah, and it just reached a point where I just overdosed on books. I think I was seeking an answer in books.
Yeah,
It was seeking, and there's nothing wrong with that because I think there's something informative about them for a while. But I think you have to go beyond that eventually.
yeah, and like I mean, and I know a bit about you. So like the next stage for you was Buddhism, wasn't it? So
Mm.
could you say a little bit about that?
Yeah. When I'd read the books, it was always the Buddhists who were good at meditation. And I liked what the Buddha said. He said, don't take my word for it. These are not sacred words. You can blaspheme in Buddhism, but give it a try. I thought, oh, that's cool.
Mm, mm,
I like that. And I remember going to Glastonbury in 1992-ish. And Van Morrison was on. I went with a couple of friends, and the Friends of the Western Buddhist Order were there in a big tent. And I saw this guy sitting there with long hair, and he was like, "Oh, you must be in Nirvana. Look," because he looked all peaceful. He's enlightened. Look.
was he meditating or?
Yeah, yeah. He was just meditating, just sitting there, and
Yeah.
little did I know, you might have been thinking of all sorts of things going on. But then, I was very naive. But from that moment, somebody said there's a group of guys opening a Buddhist center in Newcastle. Oh, in the autumn. This was the summer. They were opening in the autumn. So I contacted them straight away. I didn't mess about. And I got in touch with a guy called Subadasi, who you know. And he was so charming on the phone. Thought this guy's got something. He must be enlightened. And when they opened, they invited myself and you and a few others for dinner. And yeah, we took it from there, really. Slowly immersed, got more into Buddhism, backed off for a while, and then moved into communities and got ordained.
And you went to live in a retreat center, yeah?
I did in 2001. I was always drawn to meditation rather than the doctrine. And just thought, this meditation center, that's where it's at. That's where people get enlightened. I'm half joking here, but you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
this is, and I want to just dedicate my life to meditation for a while. And I did, and it was a wonderful time. No credit cards, no keys, 40 quid a month or 40 quid a week, was it, or something? And just sitting around watching the birds feed from the bird feeders, meditating, going shopping, doing the cleaning. Very simple life. It was actually a beautiful life.
Yeah. I remember, it's funny because I remember going on retreat with you. I think it was before you went to live there, and I remember that being next to this bridge, and there was some water running underneath the river, and you said something like, "Oh, listen to that." you know, because you're quite passionate and I'm like, yeah, yeah, you what? So what? And like, I didn't really get it because like I
Yeah.
was so in my head at the time, and but I think that you know, in a way, it was very easy for me to kind of intellectualize spirituality. But I think you always have that connection with. Well, I don't know if I'm right there, but it seemed to me you always had a connection with the present moment that, in a way, was. But I didn't always have that, but
Mm.
seemed to be able to
Maybe,
access it. Yeah.
maybe, yeah, yeah. I don't know other people's experience, but there was just this draw to meditation, and I loved my time there. And it was a feast for the senses. I remember for the first time in my life noticing the change of the seasons almost day by day. Oh, wow.
Mm, mm, beautiful.
Yeah. And I'd never noticed it before, and I thought I had.
Mm.
I'd never watched a bird just peck at the nuts on the bird feeder. Look at that. Really useless. I think we should be more useless.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So why did you leave?
Well, I'd been there nearly 5 years, and to be frank, um, I started to get an urge to have a relationship because
Mm,
I'd been celibate or chaste for 13 years,
mm,
long time, over 10 years. And it was just felt time to, two things happened actually. I thought meditation is for everybody, not just for people sitting here in the middle of nowhere. It's for daily life. But also there's an urge to get more involved with the world and find a girlfriend, and yeah. And I moved to Brighton of all places.
mhm. Why?
Because I knew a lot of people there that came on retreat. So they said, come to Brighton. There's a Buddhist centre there. There was an evolution shop. I could make some, whilst I set up courses. And I was there for 3 years, and that's where I met Gaynor, who's my wife.
Mm, I didn't know that. Okay, you met
Yeah,
her there, yeah.
yeah.
Right, cool. Great. And so, how did you? You're not there now, though, are you? I know where you
No,
are.
no, we stayed there 3 years, and her mum died, and she wanted to move back to be with her family, and so we moved back to Leicestershire, where we are now, in a lovely house, lovely place, quiet village, and we run courses, retreats here and around the country, and online also.
Mm.
Yeah.
And so, how? I mean, how's your practice changed, say, from being in the retreat center to kind of like what you do now? I mean, can you take us through the progression? Or
Good question. Because I think for a lot of years, I think I was on a path of becoming,
mm,
trying to become something, become somebody, become better, become this, become that. I had a list, long as my arm, of how I should be. And I think in the retreat center, I was still doing that. But it started to change towards the end when I came across more Zen-like teachings. I thought, oh, yes. And more non-dual teachings. Ah, okay. Something began to shift from becoming to being, just to give it a term, and to explore the present moment, to explore who I am, or what the nature of thoughts, the nature of self. And um, that continued post Vajraloka. And I've just been on that path, for want of a better term,
mm,
since. And it's more about exploring the nature of experience
yeah,
rather than getting somewhere.
yeah. And like I think that I mean my memory is that we to like you know when we were together in those kind of earlier days, we probably encountered teachings a bit like that. I don't know, but like for me, it's like they didn't resonate, and I you know in a way I wish I discovered that path 20 years, but I probably did.
Yeah.
It's just for some reason I don't know, I don't know what you think, but like it was almost like I wasn't ready, or I couldn't hear it, or something like that.
Yeah,
Or it was
yeah.
almost like the practice was necessary. Or I don't know what you think about
No,
it.
I do. I don't think it was wasted at all. I think you have. For me, I had to realize that the answer, for want of a better term, wasn't in the mind, but I had to use the mind and go to the end of it. I had to exhaust it. Where is it?
Yeah,
Where is it? And it was just, I think, just exhausting that process. Always looking for a concept, some sort of, oh, life is da 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 da. Like when you ask for the meaning of life, we want a concept. Well, it's this.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
A concept is like a concept.
yeah. So so how do you square that with 'cause, like, I know where you're coming from, and, like but, like, you're a mindfulness teacher, aren't you? And I inhabit a little bit the mindfulness world, and, that's not really what's being s well, it is being said a little bit, but it can almost feel like it's slightly at odds to me. It's I don't was that your experience, or do you know what I mean? Or
I do know what you mean. For me, it's not at odds, um, because I think there's benefit in people coming along and just give them a few tools and techniques and sort of ironing out some emotional kinks. I think that's fine. I think that's necessary in some cases.
mhm,
Working on oneself for a while, and
yeah,
I don't mind sharing that with people. And then I think sharing something a bit more immediate and instant and the here and now approach, looking at direct experience. I think mindfulness is that. I think that's what the Buddha was pointing to.
yeah, yeah, I'd agree with that, but yeah, yeah, so it's like you address both. You address the
Yeah,
person who needs to kind of do a bit of self-development, and the person who can't hear the other teachings, and then but you also are addressing the person who can, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So even on a first evening of a new course, Sagra, I'll drop in non-dual pointers and just see what happens. It's not planned,
Yeah, yeah,
and let's see what happens.
yeah.
Sometimes, ooh,
So, do you identify as a Buddhist now then? Or how I mean, or do you or not at all?
not particularly. No,
Do
no.
you
I think
identify as anything?
not really.
Yeah,
No. Bit of a chameleon.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, not really. I just want to share what's the most important thing in life. There's nothing touches this,
yeah.
and yet it's not something special. It's just truth or beauty or whatever you want to call it.
And what does your practice look like now? Or I mean, or what does your maybe you don't have a practice, but but I'll ask the question. What does your practice look like now?
Well, I do sit, and people would call it meditation. I do sometimes. I haven't got a problem with it. But what happens now is there's just sitting in what I call, or what we could call, the I am, just this direct experience, just there, hearing, seeing, feeling, tasting, smelling, just there. And that's it.
And thought comes in, and occasionally you
Yeah,
go off into a story, yeah,
yeah,
but that's okay.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
For me, it's got to be okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh, yeah, I get hooked, and there's me and the self is doing its thing, but it's just seen and,
And what about your kind of like moods? Do you get moods, or do you
oh,
like,
yeah,
yeah, get
yeah, I get the
angry?
moods. Oh, yeah, I get angry. Yeah.
Yeah,
The difference is, before it would have lasted, and I did, "Oh, the gate, how dare, but now it sort of arises and it doesn't last so long. And I've just, where did that go? That's interesting.
Yeah, so it's not held.
That's right. Yeah.
It's like an
Yeah.
energy that arises and
Yeah.
releases. Yeah,
Yeah. Because I think anger's useful.
yeah. I've got kids, so
Okay. I get it.
no, but like I've noticed this that similar sort of change in myself in the sense that it's like before I'd be like, it's like before like I'd want to punish. I'd get angry and then I'd want to withdraw my attention and like being a how you do to cause harm to win or something. But like now it's just it seems like the necessary energy rises and falls. And so
Yeah.
that's what you mean, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. And what I've noticed is with practice, let's call it practice, is that something has been establishing itself for quite a while. And I don't know what that is. It's just something establishing itself. And it's thrilling.
Mm.
Some, there's a contraction and expansion, but there's something, and I see it with some of our students. There's something establishing itself, a kind of presence awareness, or whatever you want to call it.
And how about teachers? So like, I mean, because I mean, I know, obviously I know that we had a Buddhist teacher, didn't we? Or we have, or anyway, but
Yeah.
like who do you get inspiration from now?
Um, well, I listen to sometimes Tony Parsons on YouTube. I've been to one or two of his meetings in the past. I went to one 20 years ago. I always go back to Charlotte Joko Beck because I think she
Mm.
blends the personal development and the direct experience very, very well. Like nothing, like nobody else really.
Yeah, I love
Yeah,
reading that. Yeah.
yeah. And Sailor Bob Adamson, who's 92,
Wow.
and there's a light shining from his eyes, and I mean that literally. Beautiful smile.
Mm.
He woke up in 1975 with Nisargadatta,
Mm.
and wonderful pointers.
Mm.
So I just go there. I just sit with him.
Mm. You actually do though, don't you? I mean, I know this that you actually do sit with him. It's not like
Yeah,
you're not watching his video. You actually communicate with him, don't you?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. How long have you been doing that?
About 18 months.
Right.
For me, his was the most clear message. It just resonated with me. I'm not saying he's got most clarity, but it resonated the most.
Right. I read John Wheeler's book. John Wheeler was one of his
Yeah,
students, and it was really,
yeah,
really, really, really beautiful. It really spoke to
yeah,
me at the
yeah.
time. I haven't read it for a while, obviously, but yeah, okay. And so, what's changed through those 18 months? Would you say?
The deeper establishing of that presence.
Right.
That's I can't explain it in any other way. Which is always present.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Sometimes the mind is stronger than other times, and there's a bit of that still goes on. It still happens, but there's less angst.
Right. So, what would you say that like this is a tough question probably, yeah, but I'm just gonna ask because like people talk about awakening in many, many different ways, don't they? So like, people say like I've got well, people talk awakening about, oh, I woke up and realized that the government is, you know, do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so awakening can mean many, many things to many, many people. And so like, what would awakening I mean, is it about that presence that you just talked? What would you say that
Mm.
awakening is for you?
But the first thing that comes to mind is waking up to the fact that this is it, because the mind doesn't get it. It doesn't see that this is it. So my mind was seeking. seeking. This is not it.
Yeah.
And I think that one way of looking at it, waking up, is realizing that this is it. And the seeking begins to weaken. It wasn't a big dramatic thing for me. It wasn't a big exploit, anything like that. It's been a slow weaning off, the living in the mind.
Right. Okay. And do you have a sense of where it's going to go, or do you think it's just going to just continued kind of deepening into this presence?
Yeah, I don't have a sense really. It's just, I just find it the most thrilling thing.
Do you have a sense of like how do I say it? Do you have a sense of devotion to like do you have a sense of devotion to like I don't know how to say it, but is there something, a devotion to presence, say, or do you have a
Exactly.
yeah,
That's what come to mind then. There's a devotion
yeah,
to
yeah,
this moment, presence.
like a religious, almost like a religious feeling.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah.
And also to Sailor Bob.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, as in the person.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Not a religious, but a gratitude. It's
Yeah,
like, well, wow,
yeah. Fantastic.
because something he's helped to shift something.
Brilliant. Okay. So, is there anything you want to add about what we talked about?
No, but this awakening, the theme of awakening, it's you could. I'm sure you could as well. You could talk about it for the rest of your life. It's or discuss, because it's just so beautiful.
Yeah.
It's
Well, yeah. I mean, I kind of get that because, like, in a way, that's why I wanted to do this sort of interviewing thing because, like, I love talking about it, even though, like, in a way, there's nothing to say.
yeah, yeah,
In one from one perspective, there's nothing to say, but from another perspective, like, you can just talk about it all day. So
yeah,
it's like it's kind of weird, isn't it? But
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and like, I think it's that interesting the way that that people perceive it in different ways, and that it isn't one thing. It kind
no,
of is, and then it kind of is,
no,
and it isn't. So
yeah,
I feel like
yeah.
I'm talking rubbish now, but
No, I
contradict.
absolutely agree.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you get those contradictions, don't you?
yeah,
Where you can say there's nothing to say, but you can talk about it forever. It's kind of
yeah,
weird, in a way.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Just things like just chopping carrots. I know it's a bit cliched, but chopping carrots and there's just you could just be present doing that. It's just like well, before I was like thinking of all sorts of problems. Oh God, and now there can be a presence just chopping a carrot.
I remember. I remember like one of the first books I think you gave me was Thich Nhat Hanh, A Miracle of Mindfulness, and like he said, because I always remember this, like one of the things that he said was what something like when you wash the dishes. Like you're thinking, what does that mean when you wash
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
dishes? You kind of know what it means,
yeah,
but
yeah,
like I think yeah, they were so involved with thought that I wasn't really able to wash the dishes.
yeah.
Yeah, so
I think just one more thing on. I think for years I tried. I tried to be aware. I tried to be mindful. And I hear lots of new teachers speaking that language of try to be more mindful, try to be more aware. And it's just dawned on me over the years and that there's no trying involved. I don't have to try to be present. I don't have to try to be aware. But I can notice what takes me away. So it's a slightly different
yeah,
starting where you are, present.
yeah, and like we said, people don't always get that though. Like I didn't get that, but like I think it's worth saying it over and over again because I think it
Yeah,
does go in on some level.
Yeah.
Whereas I think that, well, I know that, like, we were taught, I think that what in the Buddhist circles that we moved in, often we were told it was about development, and,
Mm. Mm.
not that that's wrong,
No, no.
but it's just one side of the coin. It's just one side
Yeah.
of the coin.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah.
Mm. Great questions.
Oh, thank you. No, it's been a pleasure to have you on, so thanks so much, and, yeah, so if people wanna find you, where do they go?
Just go online, www.mindfulnesscic.co.uk.
Okay, fantastic, and good luck with the book launch.
Thanks. Thank you
Take
very much.
care.